What's up guys, now today I'm going to be talking to you about why you should actually be looking at a past generation phone if you're looking at buying a new phone for 2019. So either one that's been reduced in price by the retailer or finding something that's actually just second hand instead of going ahead and buying a new phone that's just came out. So we'll start by going over the positives of going ahead and getting a past generation phone. Now the first and most obvious one is of course price. It's going to be a lot cheaper in comparison to going ahead and grabbing yourself a new phone directly from the main retailer, and so just a lot better value for money. For example, if you're looking at getting an iPhone XS, what might actually be a great idea is going ahead and grabbing a 10 from last year at the time of release of the XS, and it's just going to be significantly less, and the difference in performance, which we'll go into later, is going to be minimal. Now this also applies to companies such as OnePlus. You might have not heard of it, but they release really good value phones. But you can even get better deals on their phones, which is an amazing thing to do. So if you look at their new phone they've just released, it's called the OnePlus 6T. But if you look on Amazon, you can get the OnePlus 6 or 5T, the two generations beforehand, for significantly less than the original price of those phones. And you can save a few £100, and the difference is going to be very minimal. And again, with Amazon, since you're getting them new, you're going to have an amazing return policy, which is always great. Now, I just want to clarify, when I say budget about the OnePlus 6T and call those phones budget, they are more in the £400, £300, £500 range. But if we're looking at phones under £200, so 190, those £150 phones, I would definitely not consider getting them secondhand because they're already at a very good price, especially on places like Amazon. I know I always mention it, but it's just got very good deals and good return policies. But yeah, going back to that, those phones that are around that price, you may as well just get them new. And anyway, if you were to try and find them second hand, yes, they'd be cheaper, but they would probably swiftly and very quickly become outdated in comparison to these higher end phones, which don't become outdated as fast. This brings me very nicely on to my next point right here. And that point is the fact that most people actually think that getting an older generation phone is a bad idea and the phone will just be unusable and not a very good way to go, because you see a lot of these, especially if you're a tech person and like watching YouTube, you'll see a lot of these YouTubers and people with phones who are just going to have the latest phone every second, changing phones all the time, but you don't actually need to be doing that. Changing phone every few years, even every 3 years, is actually not a bad idea and perfectly doable. Now, although I say all of that, in the past this was definitely not necessarily the case. So I say the past, that wasn't even that long ago. So if we look at the iPhone 6 for example, that came out in 2014. The iPhone 6s came out a year later, and actually that was a great upgrade because of the speed differences and the fact that the iPhone 6 was already nearly outdated as it came out, and it was just not very fast at all. So getting that 6S was definitely an amazing upgrade. And then you can also take into account the price difference. It was not that huge, and so it was actually an alright upgrade to do if you were selling off your older phone. Although this has very much changed in the years now as phones are becoming much higher priced. So for example, the iPhone 10 or iPhone X, that released at £1,000 around that area, I believe. And same for the newer models, some of them even going above that, which is crazy pricing. But now all higher end phones, especially their performance, has become a bit of a blur over recent years. Now this is all due to the fact that phones in recent years are all very fast. They have really good processors, really good RAM. Don't worry if you don't know what that means, it's just the components inside the phone that get upgraded every year, but at the moment they are extremely fast. Same for the other hardware components, like the screen quality is amazing, fingerprint scanners have become really good, cameras have become amazing as well. Now that's one that can change depending on the phone, but all of those other factors are at a point now that they cannot really improve much more. It's kind of had this huge exponential growth over the past 10 or so years, but at this point it's starting to plateau because everything is becoming so good that there is no real reason to go ahead and upgrade. So as long as you get a phone that's above the £400, £500 range, even £300 in some cases secondhand, and then did not get released more than 3 years ago, I would say that that is most likely going to be a phone that you could go ahead and buy and that will be reliable for the next few years to come. Now, since Christmas has just passed, and I hope that you guys have all had a really great one and have a great new year, which is coming up soon. Now just back on track, getting a phone just after Christmas is also a great idea, especially if you're looking in the second-hand market, since there will be people who are just selling off their gifts which they may not necessarily have wanted, and they will be at a great price, so you can go ahead and snatch that up. And there are even some sales going on, so you can check out places like Amazon and John Lewis in the UK, which will have some sales on high-end phones that came out last year or the year before. So that's a great time. So it's a great time to actually go ahead and apply these points that I'm making in this video. Now, in contrast to all those points, the only real negative here is that, say you're looking at going ahead and getting a past generation phone, you might be looking at getting one that's just being sold new at a reduced price on a retailer like Amazon. Well, that's a great idea and there should be no problem there. But if you're looking at getting something secondhand, then you'll have to go through some sites such as eBay, Craigslist in America, or Gumtree here in the UK, which is another site for selling secondhand things. You'll find some maybe not so good sellers and have problems and things you might have to deal with. But that's the one little drawback, and if you can get through that, and you might even be lucky and have a great experience when you're buying something on those sites, then there should be no problem there, but it's just one thing to be slightly wary of. Now, on top of all these factors, one great thing is actually you're saving the environment in the process of getting a second-hand phone or past generation phone. So going ahead and getting one means that you're going to be saving it from getting thrown away maybe, which is a great thing, because only around 13% of electronic waste in the United States is actually recycled. So even if they say that they're recycling your phone, it's not always the case if it's getting thrown away. So it's a great way to go ahead and help the environment. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you could go ahead and click that subscribe button, that would be really great and it would help me out so much. Go ahead and hit the like button as well, and even share it with some of your friends, which would be great for me as well. So go ahead, check the next page out, see my social medias if you feel like it, click on the recommended video, and have a great one. So see you guys in the next video.